Are we good, everybody?
Yeah, it looks like it. Welcome to the podcast. Yo, what's happening? Get your hands out my pocket. Yo, real talk. We're running late. Well, as you can tell, because if you ain't logged in, we weren't there. So if you're logging in, you do know that we're late. We're out here in the world trying to get it together. We about to have a little bit of fun. So this is our common conversations. If you're following us on Facebook, welcome. If you're out there in the world of YouTube, we thank you. We love you. Please hit that subscribe button, that like button, send us a review. Tell us to get our hands out your pockets because we are asking for some dollars. No, real talk. We're about to get ready and start the show. We're just doing our mic check and all the fun stuff that goes along with it. I'm about to eat while we do this thing, but we're about to have a hell of a conversation. And we might share and let y'all jump in here as Damon and Damon are leading the joint today. Yeah, yeah, yay, 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 yay. All right, we'll be ready in just a second. So whatever you do, turn your stuff on mute. Go ahead and share, like, connect, throw it out there into the wind. And let's get this. Yep, see, there we go. Mute. Put them on vibrates, ladies and gentlemen. We love y'all. All right. 30 seconds to our window of comunicado.
Where in the how do?
We love all the black people. We love all the yellow people. We love all the green people. We love all the white people. We love all the aliens too. God knows he should have gave me an accent. I blame my mother for that. Second. Welcome, my good people. All right. Y'all about ready to get it started? Yeah. So whatever you do, turn your stuff on mute. Go ahead and share. Welcome to the podcast, or I should say the creation of the Common Conversations with the Odd Fellas. If you're tuning in, well, yeah, we're late. But that's all right, because when we're late, we have the most adventurous shows, right? We say the most darndest things. I didn't put any money in the cuss jar. Matter of fact, I don't even think the cuss jar is on the table today. So that's all right.
Why do we even have that thing?
It's actually right in front of your computer.
Oh,
it has electronic.
It's got electronic devices in there. Okay, so here it is. We had the cuss jar originally because we was hoping that the world would want to hear me say more bad words and they would contribute. But we only got a couple of contributions. And we appreciate those contributions because they pay for our StreamYard.
That's true. Yes,
and allows us to go in that world. And so we're looking for more sponsors so that we can add more technology and do more creative and fun environmental things like blow up bottles because we're playing with dry ice and things of that nature. But no, real talk. If you're getting ready to tune in, we're getting ready to develop the podcast. And they all know how we do it. So there's no trainer tonight. He fell in the bucket. And we said, no, I'm just playing. He's got football coach. He'll probably straggle in here like a oho in a minute.
But no. Wow.
Y'all ready to get this started? I know everybody out there who's watching, they ready for us to start a good show.
Let's get it going.
All right, cool. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't hear none of y'all.
What now? It's gonna be that kind of show, huh?
It's gonna be that kind of. We don't have our core music tonight, right? So hold on, hold that thought. All right, so we're gonna just do it like this. We're gonna start it like this. Go ahead and hit the record button. We'll delete it later.
That's right.
The sound over here, so we got to make sure that that's in.
Start it up.
Somewhere in the world, because I'm always playing with stuff and moving things to different places. So yeah, if you guys can hear us good. If you can't, that's fine too. And then anyway, we can quit talking to ourselves, right?
There it is.
Welcome to the podcast, or I should say the creation of the.
Well done, sir.
Start it up.
Somewhere in the world.
I'm learning more about
always
this.
playing with. Why am I hearing to different places? So yeah. Yo, if you guys can hear us good.
Yeah.
If you can't, that's
Bluetooth is
fine,
plugged
too.
in.
Oh,
That way we can quit talking to ourselves. See, this is all the stuff that we go through when we're doing a podcast, y'all. And you've done multiple shows and you're plugging into a bunch of other stuff, and you don't ever want to do this with your clients. So you practice it with yourself, right? So shit works. But I'm
Oops.
I got some feedback in my headphone from somebody. So let's clear that out real quick. And then
what do I need to do?
I don't know.
What are you saying? Use my feedback.
I guess we're good. All right, fuck it. Cry 2 tears in a bucket. Yo, welcome to the podcast. We got no music. I got my left foot on my right foot and no shoes, and I forgot to put on drawers. Yo, this is Common Conversations with the Odd Fellas, and we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for tuning in. There is no Trey Near tonight. He fell in the bucket. Fuck it. We're taking it to the stage. This is going to be a great conversation, and we're going to talk about your left foot and your right foot, and can you find my shoe? That is this whole conversation tonight is about communication and leadership, right? Oh yeah, I'm off script because there is no script, because this show has been fucked up from the start. So if y'all can't hear us out there, it's not my fault. We're blaming Damon. If I say a bad word, it's Damon. And T is here to basically keep me from being on Facebook punishment for saying something derogatory or too far left field where the fellas want to punch me in the throat. So usually if y'all watch the podcast, y'all know how we get down. We start this bad boy out with a question, but we also ask each other how we've been. So I guess we should do that now. And so how have y'all been?
I'm well. Hey, thanks. Great pitch. Thank you. Great pitch, Miguel. I am Demond, aka Demond Does, and a bunch of other stuff. I'm doing well. How are you?
Fucking awesome.
How are you?
Damon, how are you?
Hey, this is Damon, aka Chef. Since you guys
Speaking
have-
to the mic, ain't nobody hear that shit.
Oh my goodness, this is Damon, aka Chef. Since you guys have successfully changed my nickname.
Absolutely, because we can't have you walking around no racist ass nickname. And he
First
brought
wrong.
we found what first?
Spell first wrong.
Oh shit. Well, sorry,
See, that's why
Damon.
I'm
He's a
here.
first responder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
he's a
responder.
You know what? You know what? It's
I
a what's a
can't-
first? You know what? Let's define it. We already made up traineering. So what's a first responder? How does one respond to a first?
I don't even know if I want to
Make it up. Make it up. Anything you say right now is canon. You make it up.
The first responder is, I guess that first bite of that delicious great food that you guys are working on. Hopefully, it's been an awesome experience. A first.
Yes. And so first of all, in my world, there's no such thing as a misspelled word.
And there it is. But to answer your
It
question,
just ain't the one you wanted.
to answer your question, it's been an okay week. Great. I had a holiday, had the day off. That was wonderful. Threw my hat in the ring with brisket for the very first time, and from what I hear, it was an amazing thing.
And we got a special guest in the house who decided she wanted to sit next to me because somebody has to be a parent, and since I don't know how to go home, she decided she would sit next to me so she can exit. But Tia, how are you? This is my wife. Everybody wave at the wife.
Hello.
There's a camera over there. You can wave to the television too. It doesn't really fucking matter. It's a fake audience.
Okay.
Real audience.
It's all theoretical.
Yeah, it's all there. There's right. This is right. So welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing. Am I supposed to
If
Can
you talk,
hear me?
if you talk into
Barely.
the microphone a little bit.
Oh, you
like,
can barely hear me, so I
yes.
gotta do
act
this.
like you know how to sing.
Okay. Well, shut it down. I'm doing fine, but let
Well.
me tell you, there's a fly in here, and I don't do flies, so I'm just letting you know. Flies bring out the weird in me, so I might have to yes.
Okay.
I don't do flies. That's why I have cats.
I got you. I
Because
got
cats
you.
kill flies.
Right.
I don't.
I'm
I don't
aware.
mess with flies,
I
but
did
I'm
not
doing
know
great.
that.
My week has been. I guess it's been fine. I don't really remember. I'm so in the present. I'm very in the now.
Yes, and
So-
I am with a dream.
Yes.
There it
That's
is. So I do have a question.
Mhm.
Since Trinity is not here to ask one, I know my last question apparently didn't go over very well.
Man, that last question was like
my
that was hogwash. But let's go.
Yeah.
I'm still pondering that shit. But come on, let's go. Let's break something.
Okay, so what does this statement, "Am I my brother? am I my brother's keeper? Or the question, am I my brother's keeper, mean to you?
CMB, we all we got.
Yeah.
Cash Money Brothers.
For life.
New Jack City.
Damon, come on
Oh, y'all
now.
suck.
Work with me, bro.
I've never seen it.
What?
You've never seen New
New
Jack,
Jack
I've
City?
never seen it.
Oh,
Brown,
bruh.
bruh.
I'm just
I
taking,
know,
I'm taking
I
a
know.
small piece of your black card back.
Just a
I-
skosh.
It's a cult
Not all
classic.
black
I-
people have seen New Jack City.
All black people. It's
That's
like
just
saying
95%.
it's like
I'm
saying you
not-
never saw Roots.
I'm not saying that I've never wanted to see it. It's just never like it's never been one like, hey, I'm gonna go. I would have to make an appointment to do that because now it's been so long. I'm embarrassed by
Wow.
it.
An appointment to see New Jack City.
Yes, yes.
We're gonna work that out for you.
Good,
Yes,
good.
yes, we're gonna have to. But am I my brother's keeper? What does that mean to you?
I think I say again.
Am I my brother's keeper?
Silence.
Are you?
It
I
makes
hope you have a great day, everyone.
Let's go.
Miguel.
What?
What does it mean to you?
I mean, the man asked you the question.
And I'm asking you.
Am I my brother's keeper? It means to me nothing. No, it means I don't know what it means to me, honestly. It's more of an action than it is a definition. So there it is. Do I secure or am I there for my brother? Am I there for my family? Am I there when you need me, when you don't need me? Will I answer the call when you call? Right? Will I pick you up when you're down? When you're leaning sideways, will I correct you? Like if you use the word conversate, will I correct you when we in public? So that you know not to use it and use the word converse. If you be like white power behind closed doors, I'm gonna make sure you don't say that shit out in public. Am I my brother's keeper? That's what I am. No, I'm am I my brother's keeper? I'm a support system, man. I'm there every day, all the time, whether you need me or not. That's what that means. It's a bit of loyalty and a little bit of honesty. Maybe a lot of loyalty and a lot of honesty.
Okay, Tia.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. What he said. I am my brother's keeper. So first, I am my brother's keeper. So what he said, I don't need to. Yeah, you did good on that one. You did good.
You need some
Okay.
applause over there in the buttons or
Yeah.
something.
One of them is, I'm sure.
Leave it. There's your applause. All right.
Yeah, I feel like
Shit.
this happened like several times.
Let it go.
With the cricket.
This is opposite day. So
This has got to be opposite day.
the thing. All right. So okay, great. So what does it mean to you since you asked it?
The first time I ever really was exposed to this question was in New Jack City, and I was like, "Oh man, that's really dope. It's really cool." Am I my brother's keeper? And it was, it was a chant, it was a declaration. But as I've thought about it, I lean along the same lines as you. Will I support? Will I take care of? Will I care for? Will I, correct when necessary? Will I uplift and uphold my brother, my family, my friend? And it also speaks to the inclusivity of seeing someone as my brother, as someone who was raised without a brother, a physical brother. I have my sister, but she had sickle cell anemia, and I was her protector. I was her watcher. I was her keeper. When my mother had to work, it was me and her, and I was the one who was looking after her. When someone picked on her, I addressed it. When someone tried to mess with her, I was there for her. So just that, the inclusivity to see it beyond just family, my friends, do we hold them accountable? Do we watch over them? Do we keep them from dangers that they in where they are can't see, but where we are can? Am I my brother's keeper? And I would have to say yes, I am. It means a lot to me now.
Will we help them bury a body?
Hell yeah, bury your body. Let's go.
Let's go.
Come knock on my door at midnight, and you one of the homies. I got you.
Oh, this is terrible.
Real talk. Mm.
I am my
What to
brother's
say?
keeper. Let's go.
Let's go. There it is.
All right, so super dope.
Mm.
We struggling tonight. What's going on?
I don't know, man.
this is what you get when
This
you
is what
put me
happens
in
when I show
charge.
up. Y'all just struggle.
It's a full moon, and we watch LMPD partially beat up a guy on Facebook right before we got on the show. And it took our conversation to the left and then back to the right and then down the center, and ain't nothing worked since.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a great week all the way up until that too. It was like came into us. It's like going to a brick wall. Like holy, where I didn't see that turn coming.
I didn't
Just
see that.
wham! Just oh god. I'm gonna need something. Take care of this. Just smack in the
It
face.
didn't help you put it in surround sound either. Like you just put it in surround sound.
I mean, well, fuck it. If you
Like
gonna
it's
be
fucking Star Wars.
look,
You
if
got-
you- look,
Real talk.
if you're
Fuck
gonna
outta
be
here.
affected by it, you might as well just get infected. It ain't. It's kind of like sex. You can't just put the head of your penis in and be like, we partially there. Fuck it. Turn on the surround sound. Get the good experience and let's rock it out. And then be done with it. Unfortunately, we wasn't done with it.
That's yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So
He is that guy.
Well, I mean, so I think it leads into our great conversation for the day. So
It
those of
does.
y'all are tuning in with us. This conversation is about leadership and communication, right? So, actually, y'all need to. I mean, you two are leading the pathway today, Damon and Damon. I'm sitting in the guest chair, along with Tia, looking at something I wrote on here called "Suck and Smile." Oh, you can't suck and smile.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the light bulb just went off in his head. He was like, "Oh, yeah, wow,
That's awful.
oh my goodness."
But it's a true statement.
Like you
Try
like
it.
it made me think about it. It made me think about what do you mean by sucking? You know what I'm saying? And that's I mean, really,
Sorry, Mom.
Hey, that's how you
you
got here.
know,
Well, yes, I always thank them and Marvin Gaye on my birthday every year. So
you know,
There it is.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, so where are we going today? I mean, I know our listeners out there. There are Janie's out there, Dominique's out there. There's a bunch of other people out there. Welcome to the YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hey, go hit that subscribe button. Comment conversations. We're trying to do the damn thing.
Real talk.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep dropping more episodes as they get wilder and crazier because this is what we do. We have authentic conversations amongst four guys and a girl. Right now it's three guys and a girl.
Mhm.
We're like a great cartoon. I think they made it about it was a dog and a cat, something like that.
Well, this was unplanned. I was not supposed to be on here.
Yeah,
so
she
it's
wasn't
fine.
supposed to be here, but she's here now. Like
Great, eat your
so,
food.
it was unplanned. We weren't supposed to get married, but it happened.
Yeah. We weren't. Okay.
Yeah, because I was never getting married.
Oh, this is true.
Just because I didn't want people eating off my plate while I'm in the middle of a podcast streaming on Facebook.
This
But y'all
is
y'all
good.
see how it goes down. But
but it's worth it. It's worth it.
absolutely, because the chef. I mean, when the chef brings you food, you eat, right?
Yeah.
He got
Yes.
us some ribs. He got us some burnt corn. I mean, not burnt corn. I'm just playing. That's some
Yeah,
fried.
like
that's
I'm on
messed up.
today's show.
He said burnt corn.
When the chef was on here.
Dirty.
We got greens. I mean, we got some ribs that fall off the bone. My man
Mhm.
put his. Well, I don't want to put his foot in there because I ain't nobody's feet. But
his
he
foot in
definitely
his-
put some love in there. He put some heart, some tender love and soul in his food. So. Yeah, we gonna eat it. And I'll tell you, those of y'all who are out there and you're watching us and you want to do a podcast, I'm just gonna recommend one thing. Don't drink soda during the podcast because you want to belch, and that is such a raunchy thing to do. And so I'm definitely trying not to belch in front of y'all or in the microphone because in my dream cup is cream soda. Is that what you brought us?
Yes, sir.
He brought us cream soda to go with the ribs. I'm definitely in somebody's hood right now.
That's Fago. It wasn't even cream, so that was Fago.
Okay.
Right?
Is that it? So
Yep.
is Fago fake?
That's-
Is that the or is that the good? That's the
but
good stuff.
Like, that's the corner store pop.
Real
Okay.
talk.
That's corner store pop. You didn't have no corner store where you grew up at, did you? You have a corner store?
We had corner stores. Yeah,
Y'all have Fago?
I don't remember.
You ain't had no corner store.
We had corner. I mean, we could buy weed in our corner stores.
Oh,
we had corner
wow.
stores.
That's
We
some
could
serious-
we could
That's a
cash
different level of a corner store.
we could cash your neighbor's
Wow.
check in our corner store.
Yes, you could.
No, you ain't hear what I just said.
I heard you.
Okay.
Your neighbor's check.
Yeah.
I got you. Real talk.
So yeah, we had corner stores, but I mean, we might have used corner stores differently than y'all use corner
Real
stores.
talk. Real talk.
Right,
know.
we got pickles and Fago.
I didn't eat pickles, but I did. Occasionally I would walk with a girl to the corner store and she'd get a pickle.
I'm just saying. it's
I'm
good.
like, there it is.
There it is.
The name of the phrase for the day: you can't suck and smile, people. Y'all own that one.
Suck
Let's
and
rock.
smile.
No, but
I'm
we
not-
were going to talk about leadership, team building,
team
and
building.
how or ways to implement change in our community and our culture.
titled "Real Change: Building a Team."
There it is.
Real change, building a team. Okay, I need to write that down because I
And,
only said all kind of shit. It ain't right.
And just that whole moment there on Facebook just took me in a whole different direction.
Can y'all tell them what the moment was on Facebook? What was it?
Go ahead, bro.
Apparently, downtown Louisville, there were protesters, and they were protesting, and there was a couple cops that were there in front of them. And while this one gentleman was expressing his thoughts and not touching the cop reached out, grabbed him, smacked his hand, and then it just went left from there and ended up 2 cops jumped on him. They threatened to tase people. They were hitting him in the face. And in this scenario, the police officer was most definitely the aggressor. But as Miguel and I and Tia were looking at Damon, I realized that I initially didn't see it that way. And we got into a conversation about, how I was raised and how I don't think so necessarily out of any intentionality, but just how I was raised to not see Black people as large as my people. And how I was raised to have a distance between those people who were considered, quote unquote, those people who acted a certain way, who lived in a certain section of town. They were never considered to be my people. And just that disconnect and how it has caused me to disregard the systemic and systematic racism that has happened to Black people at large, simply because I haven't directly experienced it. And now that I am waking up to the realities of what's going on, and how I want to be different. I want to do different. I want to address these things, which is where, how do we implement real change in our community and in our culture?
There it is. So if you're listening to the podcast later, right? I put it both on my personal page as well as the Common Conversations page. If you're listening to it right now, you're more than welcome. Don't leave us, but you are more than welcome to step over to one of the pages and take a look at it, because it came from Ryan Hart, one of the biggest streamers down there for the local protest. So definitely subscribe to my man, because they put out great independent journalism about on a day-to-day basis of what's going on down in Louisville. But yeah, man.
So it's just, for me, I realized that I've been disconnected from my people for the majority of my life, even though I don't not consider myself not to be Black, but I was always caught up in that difference between not Black enough for my Black friends, and while I'm not trying to be white, not white enough for my white friends. And it's just an awkward place to be. But also seeing atrocities happening to Black people, and instead of seeing it more so for what it is, in my mind or in my perspective, questioning, well, what did the Black person do to deserve that? Or if they had just not done this or not done that, then that wouldn't have happened to them. Simply because, it has never happened to me. My experiences with police have always been sensible, sociable, easy, not complex, not complicated. I've never been accosted by a cop. I've never been quote unquote policed, and we were talking about that earlier. I've never experienced those things. So for me, it has me looking at it from an altered perspective that I'm now beginning to realize is not clear. I'm not clearly seeing what's really going on. So as I'm struggling now to wake up, for lack of a better way to say it, but also, what happens next is the question that's been on my mind. How can we really affect change in our community, in our culture? How can we keep this, not only just the momentum that is happening right now, but have real effective, lasting change? And as Damon and I were talking about that, he was talking about building a team.
Building. Go ahead, doctor.
What? Oh my God.
Yes, I just passed that over to you, bro.
I mean, y'all just gone. This is a good volley. I'm just saying,
I'ma keep eating.
Okay, so when you're building a team, actually, I didn't get this done today. Dang it. It's been that kind of day. But what we were talking about building a team, it actually feeds back. I was thinking about it. Feeds back into the previous 3 shows that we've done with. We did SMART goals. We did mindset.
Yep. So we did mindset,
Mindset,
smart, goals.
goals and
Resources.
resources. That's what it
Yes.
was, and it fit into all those things. So the mind, as far as the mindset, we have to have a different collective mindset on where we want to go and what that looks like. As an example, we've been talking about, and my brain just completely farted.
That's
all
the
right.
beans.
I haven't even had those yet. That's the
Beans are
scary part.
fire.
That's the
Beans
scary
are
part. That's the
fire.
scary part. So we were talking about, okay, so then SMART goals, you have to be specific. Okay, what are we looking for? How do we measure what, I equated it to a podcast. I was going to equate it to a podcast, but it seems kind of petty now considering what we've been talking about.
But I mean, but do it is. I mean, it doesn't matter where it comes from and how you base it. Leadership is leadership, right? And building something is building something, right? And so whether you're building a podcast or we're talking about rebuilding our society so it's not racist as hell and racist ass white people out there have their own island and we just blow that shit up. Oh, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
So the point
that's why we edit. That's why we edit.
No.
So the point I made.
And we just said, and me and Dave were just like, well, that sounds reasonable, you know.
It's not reasonable. But this is
Thank
why-
you. Then you're the voice of reason.
This is what happens when I'm at home. Like he says these things, and I go, "What? No,
She's my Jiminy Cricket.
That's what I was
No.
gonna. Yeah.
Real talk.
But
Okay.
okay, so the point I'm making is use the podcast as an example because again, honestly, regardless of what you're building in leadership, you're still going to use the same tools, the same principles to build it. So yeah, use the podcast. It's not, it's where we are technology, right? Technologically, nothing is changing. More and more people are going to step into podcasts. More and more people want to build these media, these big social media hubs or these digital media businesses. And they're going to be questioning, hey, how do we do a thing? Right. So use it. Absolutely.
So so resources is like, okay, so if I was talking about this, we would one, what am I like if you're starting anything, what am I good at? So in my case, I'm good at running my mouth and talking to people one-on-one for the most part and getting and helping and like voicing a vision.
Mhm.
Miguel, for example, is extremely detail oriented. Thank goodness we have one of those around here.
They call that staff to your weakness.
Right. So I don't have those skills. So when I started doing the whole thing last year, I was like, okay, I know what I can do well. I know I don't know what I'm doing anywhere else. So I need to find people who know what they're doing. So then you start to identify what you need. That's your resources, and you identify what, and then those aren't your resources, but you identify your resources.
But people are resources,
Right.
Human capital is a real thing.
Real talk.
And then I figured out, like, as an example, what I needed for my team. I need an administrator who's detail oriented. Thanks, Miguel. Outreach would be somebody who's more outgoing, willing to go into the community. Social media is under all that, that sort of thing. As an example, Trainier being the most out here as far as I know, anyway.
That's just because he's a bachelor.
right.
He out here,
And hey, he gets it, and he gets it by default.
and he gets it by default because he's
out here.
He's out here.
He's out here. That's why he's not here now.
Talking about I got football practice. I got to shower before I come over.
Mhm.
Like we
Well,
care.
let him do his thing.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Let's
okay. I can't have my cool stinking.
Oh my goodness.
go. I hope she ain't.
Real talk.
But we ain't gonna talk about Trainier since he ain't here.
Yeah. Let that breathe.
Okay, so and then the next thing I wrote down visionary because I couldn't think of a better word, and it was evocative of what I was trying to get across is the person who sees the vision. Like, as an example, Common Conversations branching out into a slew of cookbooks for Damon and cooking shows, and whatever Miguel wants to do, as long as he doesn't kill us all.
I won't kill us all. I just might get us killed.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is.
the fleet of networks or whatever it is, then you need people who you can project that vision to, and they manage that vision. And then you have your people who execute the vision. Those are the worker bees, as we coined it last night. The people who do, there are people who do grunt work, and that's okay too.
Real talk.
Everybody got picked
So-
cotton somewhere.
Wow.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, but
Man.
that's important, Pierre, because I'm probably gonna always bring it back to the black people in the black community. I'm always gonna bring that because I think part of. Can you hear me? You hear me now?
Yes, but we can hear you
All
much
right.
better now.
Because I think part of what we were talking about was, is that there are different types of black people, just like there are different talents and gifts that we have. So I like that you brought this up because sometimes I don't think that we see that as a part of stuff that we do. Right, exactly. So I think that black people are seen as being in sports. We definitely do hair. We definitely cook. We definitely do that.
Right.
But I think what I love is that we are, definitely getting to branch ourselves out into things like podcasting and figuring out what our strengths are, what our gifts are, and how we use those together in order to team build. So I love that you brought it up.
I have not plugged my show yet, and you gave me a perfect segue. I should have just walked right into it. Anyway, my guest, you were talking about all the things that we don't do. That my guest that dropped today was Penelope Flynn. She's a horror author, and the first thing she's in an anthology called Slay, and it's called Stories of the Vampire Noir. And they're all African American writers, and it's all different types of tales, of different types of vampire tales told from a different perspective. It sounds amazing, and I've interviewed like 3 or 4 of the authors already, and every one of them has a interesting take. Like one takes place in the 70s in a disco era. The one is a vampire hunter, like a female Blade, and it's I'm really excited. I'm trying to weasel a copy out of the publisher. I interview her next week.
So
But-
I listened
but-
to the interview and it's super dope. So if I may add to the fact that we are in every space.
Yes.
And here the reality of it is black people have coined almost every. I'm gonna just be biased as fuck right now. We have coined almost everything that is in our cultural space, right? And so one of the things that she talked about in the interview was what? Steampunk,
Right.
right? Who
Mhm.
coined that?
Well, wait
And
a
then,
minute.
and then she coined her own. Was it vampire? What was it?
Wait, we talked about steampunk.
Funk. Yeah, there
with
it is.
F. And I am one of the people I'm pretty sure coined the phrase. I am this close to getting an interview with him. So one of these days. Anyway, but we were also talking about, you were talking about different spaces. She does this thing called a Flowscape. There's a program where you can make your own 3D
Mhm.
3D scenes, and you can spin the camera and set it to music. And
Okay.
the kids and I were just like,
Wow.
just staring at. I mean, it was amazing. One of them was it was like a meadow with flowers, and it had little bunnies, and the windmill was spin. It was really intricate. And she was talking about taking, like, as a storyteller, taking that and making a whole multimedia platform out of it. So she's starting to want to do animation, and she obviously she's a writer, and it's like we should become storytellers instead of just authors.
Yes.
It was, and like the conversation was absolutely amazing, and the fact that only 7 people have downloaded it so far, but it's probably more than that now. It's mind blowing, because it was so unbelievably interesting. Like, we got to talking about culture and like how African Americans are kind of in this weird space, because we're definitely not American, and we're also not African either. So there's a weird space that we fit in, and how that affects us. And then, there have been slave cultures all over the world, but because their cultures are so homogenous, it disappeared seamlessly, where this is done by skin color, hair color, hair texture, things like that. It was absolutely fascinating.
Wow.
Okay.
Absolutely fascinating.
And I like how Tracy put up there, we are a multifaceted people. We are absolutely, and I love how she talked about being a storyteller, Because I love storytelling. I'm not really big on. People think I read a lot. I mean, I read some, but it's the storytelling that is so like compelling. So I love that she said that. I gotta find that.
You buy at least 2 books a week. I mean that's reading a lot. If that's reading a little bit, we literally have a library on 2 floors of our house. And a lot of the books are in boxes, right? So yeah, you read a little bit.
I read a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm an audible audiobook person.
That
now,
counts
too,
as reading.
So that works. I mean, it just gets digested differently.
I got you. That's like
Got you,
saying I
got
don't
you.
read, knowing damn well I read every manual I get.
You're really smart.
He is intelligent, highly
you read
intelligent.
a lot.
Yeah,
Let's
that's-
go.
Yeah.
All right, so back
And
to
you do read a lot for sure.
yeah, back to building. And what are we talking about? Building and real change, right?
Yeah.
All right, so because what's her name that you interviewed?
Penelope Flynn.
Penelope Flynn.
Penelope Flynn.
All right,
Why
so-
is it so
Blah, blah, blah. It's the P's, right? It's the
Blah,
P's.
blah, blah.
You know what she's talking about is an entire community of storytellers, right? And sometimes we get stuck in this world of storyteller as just a writer, but storytellers are podcasters, right?
Yes.
They're videographers, they're photographers, they're sculptors. There's a massive group of people, and they have the art of storytelling. And we have to stop getting stuck in these terms or these spaces or these categories that folks want to fucking throw us in, and then feel like we gotta stay there. And so I think about, as we're having this conversation, you're talking about implementing real change, specifically to eradicating racism and finding equality. It's up to us as people of color, in my opinion, to really start building a community that is what we want it to be, right? And we have to stop asking permission from the people who stuck us in a fucking boat to do the damn thing. And I think, and a lot of what I heard from her interview with you was just that, right? They're creating the world that they want.
Mhm.
And the practice of creating that world. One of the notes that she put out there is just start writing, right? If you want to be a great storyteller, just start writing every day. I think she said something about, write about ketchup or whatever. And just, it's red, it comes in a beautiful bottle. Just start the habit of writing every day, right? So if we want to change our culture, right, and want real change, then we as a people have to wake up every day and work on it. Right. So what does a non-racist community look like? Better yet, let's not take the overarching piece, right? Because that's the big vision. That's the big picture, right?
Mhm.
Living in a non-racist community, but ask ourselves, what does your community look like? Let's take it small, whether it's your household, it's a group of friends. Definitely if you're talking about building something, Damon mentioned building a podcast, right? So what does that podcast team look like? What does that community look like? What does it do? How does it function? Yeah, those are the things I think we have to answer and put in place.
You bring up an excellent point. As I'm listening to you, is like, how are we defining community? Because a community can be a community, and I think sometimes we think the idea of it may be too large, so we think we can't have any impact or we can't do it because it's too big. We can't change the whole world. Okay, but can we change our block? Can we change can we change the house we live in? Can we change the group of people we hang with? Can we have effective change there? Can we begin? Where do we begin? And I think sometimes, and it so reminds me of you starting your podcast. All you had was an idea, and you had what you had. You didn't have what other people might consider being what you needed, but you just started. And sometimes figuring out that first step, just to start. And just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep walking it out. And as you continue to keep moving forward, the things you needed began to come to you. And I think having that initiative, finding those people who are willing to just start. Yes, we need an idea. Yes, we need someone to cast a vision. That's what we need to have a vision. But sometimes, how do we change our community? What are the changes we want to see in our community? And there's very little reason to no reason why we can't start working on that now. Why we can't have the community we want to have. And as you said, stop asking for permission from the person who's kicking us in the face every single day to get out of that space. when all we have to do is move.
So what? So here's a question that I had, because when Miguel said, because Miguel's just kind of an out of the box thinker. He was probably the first like individual that I actually met. Like, didn't really connect with anybody but himself and his vision for his life. And so he'll use terms, or he'll say things like, when people try to put you in a box, because people have tried to put him in a box. So my question is, when he brought that up, I was like, what if it is not only that people are trying to put you in a box, but that you've learned to keep yourself in a box? And I think when we talk about how we're going to build the Black community or rebuild any community, whether it's the Black community itself, or the community as a whole, sometimes it's important to ask ourselves questions about how am I putting myself, how am I keeping myself in a box? Because it's just like that tale about the elephant that was chained up, and then all of a sudden, I guess the chains are gone, but the elephant still didn't move. So I think that part of our growing, and part of our connecting, and part of our rebuilding and building really is about how we see ourselves and that particular mindset that we have. So I love this podcast just for the fact that this is an out of the box type of thought. I love exactly what you're doing, Damon, because it's a completely out of the box kind of thought. Miguel's always been out of the box. Same thing, with you, Damon, just all the things that you're doing that are out of the box. So I think that we often ask questions about how do we grow, how do we build, and sometimes I'm thinking, well, how personally am I growing? What am I doing to either take myself out of the box or keep myself in the box? Because we live in a small town. So I know we struggle with movement at times, or cohesion at times. And part of the box that I think that we're in is that we got individual families and cliques. And if you're not a part of that particular family, then we're not going to connect in that way. And that's an unhealthy way to think as a community as a whole. You might not have that thought or that belief, but some people do. So I think that it's important that we question what we're doing. But I have a very collective mindset. So I use the term we and our and us all the time. And folks are like, you ain't my people.
No, but and it's interesting that you say that. As someone who was raised in the "you will not act like those people" model, I hadn't thought about that. What am I doing? Do I even recognize the box I'm in? That box that keeps me distant from my people as a community, my people as a culture, that keeps me from not seeing them as part of who I am, or me being part of who they are, part of their story. That their story is really part of my story, and being dismissive or disregarding them completely, because once again, we're not going to act like those people. You're not going to behave like those people. And I don't say this begrudgingly towards my mom. I think she was doing the best she could as a single parent, and she wanted to raise us to not be wild, to not run around, to have good manners, that be educated, to have a desire to see the arts. And she did everything she could to expand our vocabulary and expose us to things that maybe she wasn't exposed to. And I appreciate that and I love her for it. But I can also be honest enough with myself to, as I look back over my childhood and how I was raised, to be able to identify these things that weren't done out of malice, but they just were the byproduct of how I was raised. To not look at Black people as my people, to not see myself as being a part of the culture, to distance myself from the culture, to behave in such a way that always engenders the like of white people. That it's always nice to be able to be polite, to be courteous, to be respectful, to be a gentleman, and these types of things. Not that there's anything wrong with those behaviors, but I should not look down on my fellow Black person because they're raised differently, or they come from a different side of town, or they have a different mindset, and not being able to see a part of myself in their story.
I mean, real talk, like, if you wasn't sitting here, I think he was white. No bullshit, right? Because if you say those people one more time, as if you not black. And that's what's going through my head, right? So your mother wants you to be educated as if black people ain't educated. Your mother wants you to be well spoken as if black people aren't well spoken. Your mother wants you not to be wild as if wild is a bad thing. Number one. So we have to define it, which I'm going to assume we're going to make the assumption wild meaning savage, right? So your mother doesn't want you to be those people, right? That's the shit that white people tell each other that black people are every day. And so that's some wild shit. Because one, I know you're not the only person in this world who thinks like that, right? And so when we're talking community and culture all around, I think that we as black people have some work to do. Because we have to stop seeing ourselves as the worst individuals in the world, because we are sometimes, actually right now, black women are the most educated in the country, right? Being wild or savage, well, let's be honest. Black people aren't the savages. White people are, right? And in that relationship, because they're the ones who came to this country, stole a bunch of other people from another continent and brought into this country, and then killed all the people who was in this country, right? And then forced some other people to build labor so that they could actually build wealth. I know that was real fast. Y'all can put that shit together, right? They justified. Now that shit is savage.
Scientifically and religiously, they justify
Right?
it. Yeah.
That's savage, right? So black people aren't the savages, but yet we want to train our black people, our black men and our black women to be more like white people. Get the fuck out of here, right? That's for everybody who's teaching their black children to hate themselves, right? Because that's what you're teaching. I love all black people. Now, I'm not saying that if I go to Compton, right, where we know we got a lot of gangs and some things, certain parts of Compton, that I'm not going to feel uncomfortable. But that's just society. There are all types of society, because, you know, I go to the east end of Louisville and sometimes feel uncomfortable. I go to Corydon in Indiana and feel uncomfortable. And these are all white communities, because I know they don't like black people. They're more likely to lynch me there than I am at home or in the west end of Louisville. But we'll allow the media, we'll allow white people to tell you this whole totally different story, as if West Louisville or South Chicago is the most violent parts of the world. As if white people don't kill white people every day. And we know white people killing black people every day. Shit, you know, was it last year that white man killed that black couple coming out of Kroger's, and then looked at the other white dude and said, "White people don't kill white people."
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yeah, you know, your mom. No disrespect to your moms, because she did the best she could do. But I think culturally and as a community, definitely, if we're talking about building something that's for us, by us, we have to face this type of thinking, this type of what's the word I'm looking for?
Mindset.
This type of mindset immediately, and begin to break it down so that, yeah, we all take the matrix pill. I mean, we all got to learn a lot of learning to do. You know, because my mom taught me not to be like them, right? Because let's be, you know, we saying them.
Like
so
them
I'm
and those people.
them and those
like
people,
my
right?
mind is going like
Right. And my mind does it. So my mom said, "Okay, Gelly, look, you ain't white, but I don't want you to be hood. Okay, let's define hood. Hood is a drug dealer. Okay, hood is a gangbanger. Right? That's hood. That's what my mom kind of said. I don't want you to be that. So we're gonna give you these tools so that you can blend with white people, but understand you still a nigga. And they're gonna see you that way, no matter how many degrees you get, no matter how much money you have, no matter how many businesses they get, then you'll never be one of them. But I'm gonna give you the tools so you can at least compete against them." But my mother did say this: those are still your people over there in the hood.
See, that's the end of the conversation.
She just said, "I don't want you to do that."
That's
right?
the side of the conversation I never got.
So, but I hear you, and I think that's the part we have to educate, because here's what my mother was saying. She wasn't saying, "I don't want you to be the black dude in the hood." She's saying, "I want you to have more opportunities than the black people are getting in the hood."
right.
The opportunity in the ghetto, the only way you're really gonna get wealth is either A, get educated and get out, and hope that you're gonna get the percentage of the opportunity that really exists in America for black people, right? Or sell dope. Because we know white society, police, our government funds the opportunities to sell drugs in the ghetto, right? That's your way out. So my mom is saying, look, if I give you the best education, if I introduce you to the arts, if I give you a mind that will step out of the box, you may never have to go that route, right? And that's going to keep you out of a system. That's going to keep you out of harm's way. That's going to keep you out of gang fights. That's going to keep you, out of jail. But it didn't keep me safe from fucking white people. I lived in white community and got chased home and got called nigger. What's worse, getting shot at in the hood or being chased by a bunch of rabid ass fucking white people when you in middle school? I got both. I prefer to be shot at in the hood. At least I felt safer. Right? Because if I beat up a white kid, more than likely I'm gonna get lynched to go to jail. The point I'm making. Might get lynched and go to jail. Man, I guess if I get lynched, I don't get to go to jail.
Right.
That is thorough, man. That is thorough.
Wow. You know what I mean? So I think the point to this, right, without going in that way, we do have to have that discussion, but we have to break down the mindset. We have to define what our culture is and really embrace it. But
our culture is very diverse, you know, because I think that what Damon, one of the things that we talked about was when he was describing how he had been brought up, and you know that you don't act like this or those people, and you know what, I thought my response to him was, well, that's very American. That's very American to see yourself as an individual, as a person who, you know what, if you just be personally responsible for your own, self and your own, this and that. And if you're fine, then your stuff is fine. Then the world is fine if you're fine. Whereas, I think how we were brought up, and I know that I had totally different experiences, from you. So I almost had a mix of the experiences. Like I hadn't had horrible experiences with police officers. One, I'm careful, just real careful. But you know why I'm careful? Not only because my parents taught me to be respectful and be lawful, it's because I believe that even if it does not happen to me, or if it hasn't happened to me, that it could happen to me because of my connection with my people. So it doesn't have to happen directly to me for me to have the same type of experience or the mindset that what happens to one of us happens to all of us. So I think when Damon was when you were describing your experience, I was like, that is super American, to assimilate in that way. We take care of our own selves. We take care of our own little households. We work, we have some, social engagements, but for the most part, my lane is my lane. And I think that's the struggle that we're looking at right now, is that folks are like, that's not very healthy, and it's not good, and it's not okay, because that means that you're totally disconnected, one, from a system and from an entire community of people that are being oppressed, that are being ostracized, that are being denigrated, and it's not a problem for you because it's not happening to you. And so I hear you as you kind of waking up to that. Yeah, that must have been like the air in America is smelling very different right now.
Oh my
because
goodness.
the bubble got burst for a lot of folks. And that's what we're looking at.
It did, and I think for me it really was George Floyd. That was the breaking point for me when I watched, and we talked about this, when I just the process of literally watching him be killed. And I guess it was different for me because I knew everything that was happening to him within his body. And as a former EMT, when the EMTs got there, I was like, the first thing you do is you assess the patient at the scene. And if something's wrong, you address it right there. You don't pick up a limp body off the ground, throw him in the back of the squad and just keep moving. One of the things that you have to decide to do is if you're going to stay and play. And every first aid course, BLS course, ACLS course, you always assess the patient first. That's the first thing you do. And if the patient is not breathing, doesn't have a heart rate, doesn't have a pulse, you immediately begin to work on them at the point. They did none of that.
You have to be a person first. You have to be a person first.
In the words of Trainier, let that breathe.
Yeah, you have to be a person first. When we talk about these issues that we're discussing, and I love Ta-Nehisi Coates, because I was thinking, because he would always use the term the black body or being in black bodies, and he's way deeper than I could ever be. And the fact is that we exist in these bodies, no matter what type of black person you are. There are tons of different types of black people in the world. We are not monolithic. You know what I'm saying? So, but no matter what, you still have this black body that can be judged as less than a person. And so you would assess a person, you would treat a person. You would render aid to a person. He was a body.
He was one of them.
One of,
He was one of
those
them.
people.
One of
Yeah,
those
one of
people.
those people.
One of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
Insignificant in the grand scheme. So we can do what we want and how we want to.
Yes.
Right. But
Real talk.
getting back. So here, as I mean, because we've been on for a minute, but getting back to the statement that we're talking about, like how do you affect real change?
Mhm.
Right. How do we build our own community? And you can break that down in a simple form if you want to just say, talk about how do we build a team? How do we do that? Right. So, we're of course we're not gonna find all the key answers to this evening, but let's play. Why not?
Okay.
How do we, what does your community look like, Damon?
Wow. I'm gonna give you a bunch of vague stuff, and I'm just gonna. Oh boy.
Just
That's
get
that's
it.
how we start.
Connected. All I can think of is a community of service to our fellow man and woman. Man, my brain just man that brick wall. Yeah,
We go
there it is.
cow.
Like Trainier's here. Hey, Trainier is here.
Superman don't go nowhere without his cape.
Trainier is here. Yay! Thank you for bailing me out, buddy. So, as you were saying, Tia.
No.
I was getting ready to take it because I'm ready. I'm ready.
No, I mean, I can answer that question about my community, right? And when you asked me, if you was working on it, I was thinking, what does my community look like? I live in a very diverse, just block of
Mhm.
people. We know our neighbors. We stand out in the front yard. It's amazing to me, and talk to our neighbors, interact with our neighbors. We know what's going on, and Angel especially knows what's going on in the lives of our immediate next door neighbor. To the right of us, she knows the people across the street, and when we were having, and it was amazing to me. We were doing a yard sale, us and our neighbors next to us, and I thought it was very, very interesting that they put everything out in the front yard and it stayed there for like 3 or 4 days, and nobody touched it. And I thought that was just really amazing to me, that there is a sense of community, a sense of, we're looking out for each other, watching each other's house. We have one neighbor 3 houses down that is an interesting individual, and everybody knows who he is. But other than that, we do really, there's a feeling of community. And, being raised in California, spending some time in Mississippi, living now here in Jeffersonville, that was really odd to me,
Mm.
that I was like, wow, just to see it was really odd to me, because in California, yeah, no, not at all. It'd be gone. Like probably while you walk back in the house, come back out, it'd be like really all of it would be gone. And it was just odd to, I guess, have that experience that like, wow, people really do. I live in a space where people really care. And it's not all Black people, not all white people. There is diversity in the neighborhood. So you get a fairly good mix.
That's beautiful.
Cool.
What up, T?
So-
Come on in.
Yo, you fine.
Oh my goodness.
I wouldn't drink it.
I wouldn't touch that if
Yeah.
I were you.
It was
We had
dry
an
ice. There's
experiment
dry ice
going
in there.
on, dry ice, and it looked like Halloween in here. That's what it looked like.
All right, so back to where we going tonight. Where we headed? Community, building leadership,
What did your community look like?
real change.
What did your community look like? You didn't answer your question either. Did you?
You didn't answer your question. You leading the
Somebody
show today.
answer
I'm
the
not,
question. Y'all
Somebody
spend
answer
all
the
this
question.
time going back and forth. Answer the question. Somebody.
what does my community look
I
like?
thought we were going around the room.
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead, Tia. What's your community look
Black people.
like?
No.
All right, there it is.
That part.
That was what my Wakanda looked like.
Well,
Tell us what
Yeah.
Wakanda
Okay, I
look
mean, we
like.
can start there. I mean, I've got more, but go ahead.
No, I was messing with you.
Well, I mean, the Aquarian part of me, my world looks like Damon's world. You know what I'm saying? You know, where we've got all different kinds of people, and we're all different, and we can recognize that we're different, but we just kind of live in life because we all totally have the same values. Everybody wants their families to be okay. Everybody just wants to have their own life, have fun, and connect in that way. So I love that. But I think what
I'm not talking to you, talking to him.
it's
Go ahead.
weird. It's weird.
Focus.
I am focused. Okay. But then there's another part of me that when I think about the Black community, like I would love for us to one value. I want lawyers. I want real estate folk. I want that. I want to be able to call, like if I want to support my folks, or if I want my car to be fixed, I want that. So that type of self-sufficiency and that type of connectedness, I want that. So, so part of, I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. I want Wakanda, and I want this whole utopia. That's what I want. That's what I want. Definitely want Wakanda though.
Let that breathe now.
Real talk.
Yeah, I want everything she said. Right.
Here we go.
But I also want it written in law. Right. I want laws that say that if a cop shoots an unarmed Black person, he's charged with murder. Right. I want the mayor to be held accountable for the action of the police in their community. I want the governor to be accountable for the action of the police and the sheriffs and the state police in their community. What I really want is for that shit not to happen. Right. What I also want is such an economic platform that Black people support themselves. Right. And we only support companies that support Black people. Right. And so I had a dope conversation with a good friend, and they're in a financial institution, and we they said to me, Gail, if the Black community at large had a true blackout for 2 weeks, that means Black people didn't go to work and they didn't patronize anybody that wasn't Black. The United States will file bankruptcy. United States in 2 weeks will file bankruptcy if Black people decided not to go to work and not to patronize anyone that's not Black for 2 weeks. Right. So what that tells you is, first of all, our impact in this country, both to the workforce, which we are marginalized in, right? And there are significant disparities that exist in terms of payment, as well as the elevation in terms of career opportunities at an executive level, right? That tells us that our contribution is far greater than we can even see it. And the fact that we could actually stop the flow of the U.S., right? White people that hate us, that benefit from the hate of us and using us, would basically file bankruptcy. They probably wouldn't. They go to war. But
what about the ones that don't hate us?
Well, I said we would work with them, but for the first 2 weeks, everybody's ass out. But I mean, our white friends, that's different. I'm talking about the hate you give them people. So, but I think first of all, it's done by policy. I also see an education system where our children both understand and learn white history, the history of America told from the white side, but also the history of America told from the Black side, and the equitable contribution that both sides have, right? We would learn about Charles Drew, right? We would learn about Henrietta Lacks. We would learn about the Buffalo Soldiers. We would learn about, above and beyond just being ancestors of slaves and Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King, right? We would learn that our contribution to the arts has been significant, right? We would know that the Statue of Liberty, the original model, was Black, was African, right? And the United States basically had to whiten it up a little bit because it was a little too ethnic for them. But we would learn these things. It would be part of our core institution, understanding that, that black people are not monolithic, and we would bring all the cultures together, right? Because Africa is a continent, it ain't a country, right? And within that, tons of tribes were brought to the US. And so we still all have that dynamic. Also, we have the migration of folks who have come from, South America, the islands, and begin to tell those stories as well. So I mean, my community is hella diverse, and extremely dynamic and powerful, right? And we manage our own resources, right? I think it's important that we manage our own resources, because when you have to go to someone who oppresses you to ask them for something, I mean, bruh, that's so belittling, right? And then they're controlling your stability, right? They're controlling whether you thrive. I don't think in my community we don't exist that way. We manage our own resources. We build our own resources, whether it be banking, whether it's real estate, whether it's manufacturing, and that's another role. We have to, it's important for us to be in the manufacturing space where we create products, right? We're great at buying products, and don't get me wrong here, because there are a lot of people out there who, black companies that do really great at branding, and bringing products to market and doing a lot of other things. But I feel like in my community, we are at every stage and on every stage of the playing field. And here's the thing: in my community, we don't just make products for black people. We make products that are global. We sell to white folk. We sell to, Asians. We sell to other cultures and other countries and other continents, right? If alien drop down in this motherfucker, we got something to sell to him in my community, right? And we're constantly building. The other piece is, my community from a household changes. We've adopted this, we've actually adopted a broken colonial thing of, when your kid turns 18, you're no longer responsible for them. Kick them the fuck out the house and let them go fend for themselves, right? That's that shit that they taught us. That's not a family.
Oh, I got a great story.
Right. That's the fastest way to break up the family, right? That's the fastest way to stop building your family and to stop building your community and to sever your resources. Right. So in my community, the child doesn't ever have to leave home. We don't teach leaving home. We talk about expanding the home. Right. We talk about how the child expands the family, whether it's a male or female, whether it's a son or daughter. Right. Yeah, I can go on forever because I know what my community looks like. My community's a bad motherfucker.
To your point,
country.
I think it was in 2018. As of 2018, the black spending power was 1.3 trillion.
Mm-hmm. It was a Pew study.
Yeah,
it was a Pew study.
So it's not like we don't got money. We got all kinds of money.
We do. We got every type of money that exists in the United States. Mm-hmm. All types of money. We got the dirty money. We got the clean money. We got green money. We got yellow money. Right. We got fake money. Shit.
Real talk. In regards to the family, it was interesting. I have a very friend of mine. Shout out to Masai Shekong. She's a true African American, as her father is from South Africa. And we were having back in 1992, I think it was. We were just talking, and one of the things she says, because she grew up in Africa, in South Africa, she said, I don't understand this thing that you all do here as black people. When the child turns 18, you kick him out of the house. And she's like, that was so strange to her, because she says right now, and at that time we were in our 20s, she's like, right now in South Africa, because her father had just moved from one part of the country to another part of the country. She said, right now, he took down my entire bedroom, and in this new place, he got a place specifically for a bedroom for her because she wasn't married yet. She said, my room is set up right now. That's home. And she said it will always be my home until I get married. But even still, after that, it'll still be her home. She just didn't really comprehend this whole kicking the child out of the house thing. And I was like, I never really thought about it like that, because I left my house at 17, for a variety of reasons. But my mother always told me since I was a little child, she said, the minute you turn 18, you're leaving my house. She raised me with that mindset that at 18, I was getting out of her house. And what I realized is, and we had a conversation about it years later, and the fact of it was always her house, but it was never our home.
Hmm, that's deep.
Community.
It was always her house, but it was never.
It was never our home. This is my house. It's because my mother's one of her mantras was, "This is a dictatorship. This is not a democracy. I have absolute rule." That was her thing. As a single mother trying to raise two kids, and me being more like my father than I ever knew, I always challenged my mother. But that was her thing. And as I got older, I began to really wrestle with that. This is a dictatorship. It is not a democracy. I have absolute rule. It was always my mother's house, but it was never our home. And growing up like that, I struggled to create a home because from a certain point, I've never had a home. I've always lived in my mother's house. So it was never mine. Everything in it was always hers. Even the stuff she bought me was still hers. But just that mindset, and then I get sent out to the world. I have children of my own, and I'm struggling because I don't know how to create a home because I've never been in one. I've never lived in one.
All right, so change that, right? So, I mean, this is a great example, right? So, how do we change it? Real change.
See, to your point, it requires a different mindset, but it took me being broken and also realizing that I needed to see it differently. And I created two women in my life, my youngest son's mother, Janine Blaine, and an Angel now, who have really showed me family, showed me what it is to have a home. And I'm learning how to, and Kendall is awesome at helping me in this arena, her 13-year-old self, how to create and build a home and how to really, this is our home, how to settle down into that reality. And it's not just merely my house. No, this is our home. You have a place here. You have a space here. And I need you to understand that this is not just my home, it's your home as well. And how do we teach you to honor your home, respect your home, take care of your home, and understand that even when you do go out in the world, this will still be your home. You can always come home because you're never kicked out of it.
Right.
So therefore you don't lose your home just because you turn 18. You don't lose your home just because you graduate college. We're constantly teaching you how to build, create, and invest in a home. And maybe that's how we keep her from repeating the same sins of the past and creating within her a mindset of community, because she knows her house is such a safe place, it's such a home for her that when her friends have problems, she brings them home because she knows at home there's safety, there's that sense of community. We may not be able to fix it for you, but my mom can help you. And I love that about her. I love that is created for her because I didn't have that. And I didn't even understand, even when my sons were that age, I didn't understand the significance and the importance of home in the way I needed to. And shout out to my son Jeremiah. It's his birthday today. Jeremiah Blaine.
Awesome.
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday.
Happy birthday.
And there it is.
And I'm gonna say this, and then I want like Trainier to come here because I'm gonna like exit out so I can go like be a parent and pick up my daughter. But there was two words that you said that really because it's almost like a micro macro thing that I saw with you, Damon, is this safety and connection. Safety and connection. So first we were talking about how you felt disconnected from like the larger Black community, and then as you began to talk and began to process, I was like, well, my goodness, there also was a disconnect at the house, in the home. And so I think that it's powerful, one, that you come into that awareness that really that change starts with realizing how to develop safety and connection. And that's really how people heal. And I think what we're talking about here is that, a lot of times we want to come together with broken folk. We broken.
Ooh.
Broken, contaminated folk. You know what? And that comes from all types of wounds, whether we're talking about abuse, poverty, all these types of issues. And so I think that once you come into those awarenesses and you can say, wow, Dag, I didn't really get that. I didn't really get anybody connecting with me. I didn't really get anybody who, for tons of reasons, who didn't help me to feel grounded. I didn't get anybody to help me feel safe. It's that is a basic human thing. That is the thing that actually makes a human. That makes a human. So, and then I'm gonna go because she can't drive. So like, you've heard these stories of these orphanages with these babies, all these babies in these like little cribs and all that kind of stuff. Like in Russia, those are really big, and so they fed the babies, they cleaned the babies, I don't know what else they did with the baby, but they fed them and they cleaned them. They fed them and they cleaned them because humans need to eat, and I guess they need to be changed. But they didn't hold them, they didn't touch them,
Wow.
they didn't do anything like that. And so
Wow.
and so sociopaths are not born for the most part. Sociopaths are made. They are created because they never learned to connect. Somebody didn't connect. So a lot of times we will cause harm to each other because there's no connection. And I think we're looking at that a lot in our own community with respect to trauma. And it's not just in Black communities. So anytime you hear about harm being done to communities or communities harming themselves, it's about lack of safety and lack of connection. And that's really just kind of the impact of poverty and just the trauma of poverty. And I'm going to leave now because we're supposed to be talking about other types of communities. So thank you, gentlemen, for letting me
No,
stay
thank
on
you
here.
for hanging out with us today. We truly appreciate it.
Oh, this was fun. This was fun.
Yes, you
I'll
have
get
to
back
come
to my
back.
post at home.
Right. I'm mad I didn't get to enjoy, what's happening
All
here.
right, let me get out of
We
here.
done made all kind of fucking noise to exit.
I know, sorry.
Bye. Have a good one.
Have
Be
a
safe.
better chat.
And then there's that.
Right.
Right.
That part.
Real talk. So, what does your community look like?
Mine. Wow. I think I would start with basic love and care for other people. Like so often, like we're so quick to throw people away and just let them.
Pause for a minute.
And so I think we're so quick to throw people away, and when people are struggling, that's the time when they need someone to step up and help them, and give them a hand, maybe a push, maybe a word. I remember hearing this story a few years ago by this gentleman, and forgive me, I know I have the notes at home because I took notes on his seminar, but he was talking about he had made it in what he had termed as on top, right? And he said when he was on top, he would always just do little things to take care of people, look out for people and stuff like that. And he said one day he would go speak at AA meetings, right? And so he said he was going into an AA meeting because he was a speaker. He was going to speak to the people. And while he was walking in, there was a guy, he was off to the side a little bit, but he just, handed him some shoes. The guy that's going to speak handed him a pair of shoes and walked in and when did he speak, whatever. And so fast forward a few years later, that gentleman, and this is a story, this guy lives in Louisville. Like I can't remember his name just off the top of my head, but this guy lives in Louisville. But he pretty much lost it all. Right. And so, he's working his way, trying to build his life back up. The guy that had it all and he handed the shoes and he ended up losing it all. And, he's trying to build it back up. And, he's getting to a point where, he's starting to get his feet underneath him. And so he starts looking into buying a house. And so, of course, he's going to different banks, and went to a certain bank, and the bank denied him, and things of that nature. And he's still working on it, right?
Mhm.
And so finally, his I guess his paperwork or something hit the desk of this lady, and the lady, gave the guy a call and said, "Hey man, just come on in, whoopty whoopty woo, you've been approved." And so he's like, "Really?" Yeah, you've been approved. You're good. And so he got there, and he's doing all what needs to be done. Y'all know what that process is, but um he asked her, he's like, "Well, like, what's going on here? Because I thought y'all told me a couple days ago that I needed to work and take care of a couple things before I could be approved." And she said, "Well, it'll be all right." And he said, "Well, I don't understand, man." I'm like, "Why are you doing this for me?" And she said, many years ago, there was this guy that was pretty cool, and my brother was strung out on drugs, and he was going to these AA meetings and alcohol and things of that nature. And he was going to these AA meetings, and one day, he was on his way to kill himself, and this dude gave him a pair of shoes, and that stopped him from killing himself. He saw hope in somebody stopping just for a second and giving him a pair of shoes. And so she helped him get his loan approved. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I say love and care. We so quick to throw people away. Like, love and care. So that is going to be a part of my community. Also, knowledge is success leaves clues. He even remembers, he said, when I thought about it and I started analyzing my life, and I started wondering, well, why did I lose it all? Like, what happened? And he said, when I started to look over my life, I learned that the reason I started losing it all is because I stopped serving people. I started doing other things, and next thing you know, I started losing the things that I had acquired and built, and so I just thought that was a really cool story. And that guy, listen, I know I got the notes at home, but I know that's a brother over in Louisville. But so love and care is going to be a part of my community. I think also this idea of a head start for any group of people will be eliminated.
What do you mean?
Like they say black people, we start off behind the 8 ball or whatever, that part. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's gonna be eliminated. We all starting from square one. So that's gonna be a part of my community. Everybody's gonna have equal playing field. Like, everybody's gonna start at the same spot, and you build your thing. You know what I mean? And then I think a sense of a village. Like, I remember, coming up, and like, my mom gave everybody the green light. Like, you see my son getting out of pocket snatching. Somehow we got away from that, and it don't even have to be a snatch. It could be a conversation. But
because if you snatch my kid, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Real talk.
Right. right. That's just my mom's rule. Like, I'm just telling you, like, I'm not, me personally, not snatching nobody's kid. But
Metaphorically speaking.
thank you. You know what I'm saying? But that was what my mom, you see my son out there cutting up, mine snatching. So she gave a lot of people a green light.
Gotcha.
And right. But that village, like, I just, I knew, like, I got away with some stuff. Let me say that. I did get away with some stuff, but
I think we all did.
Yeah, for sure. But for the most part, I was like, man, I can't do nothing wrong. Everybody knows my mama, and she done gave everybody the green light. You know what I mean? So just that village, though, of looking after each other and protecting and encouraging, and having a conversation if need be. Hey, son, come over here. Let me have a word with you. You over here. Let me show you how to do it right. You're doing it wrong. Let me show you how to do it right. Just little stuff like that. That's going to be very much a part of my community. Of course, there's going to be the positivity, the vibe, the energy. I can assure you that there will not be any negativity in my community. Zero. I got zero time for it, zero energy for it. Anything negative will be eliminated. Period. So if that's your world, hey, you're not going to be a part of this over here.
I am the law.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 1,000. Like any hate, gossip, all of that, yeah, it's out of here. Forget about it. Like it's just not gonna be, a part of my situation. And then I definitely think that along some of the lines that you guys were talking about is like the mental health has to be present. I'm honored and proud that so many people in the Black community are now starting to seek mental health, and therapy and things of that nature, and talking through some of the things that they've been through in life, and trauma and experiences, and I just think that's important now more so than ever. But even back in the 60s, it could have been beneficial with the people, you know what I mean? But it just wasn't a part of the household. You talk about the house, like it just wasn't a part of the household. Like people wouldn't, right? So
Not in my world.
right, not in my world
Not in
either.
my world,
I
definitely
mean,
not.
so in my world, mental health has always been a strong part. Going and seeing therapists and understanding
Oh, so
what's
see,
that's
yeah.
always been a strong part of my house.
Yeah, see, no, it wasn't a part of mine.
Wasn't a part of
My
mine.
mother
either.
has 2 degrees in social work.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's always been,
Right.
always been.
right. Not mine. You know what I'm saying? So what about yours? Yours?
No.
So 25% of us at this table had it.
Real talk.
Like, so it would be 100% in my community. And of course there would be some fun. Like I do believe in, fun and cutting up and having those moments as well. Like I don't think anybody should just work. Like I know I got this guy over here, but he has fun. He does his things. And so but whatever they deem as fun, like there should be some fun, whatever that looks like for you. But whether it's cutting up with the family, I know that'd probably be what you would do. You know what I mean? But just making sure that you got a good balance. And then in my community, I think there would be a certain level of respect and honor for the Black woman. Like I just, I know many people have said it and still say it, and there's a huge part of me that agrees that Black women are underappreciated, and so that would be eliminated in my community. We're gonna always respect and honor them, and so that term that famously got quoted many years ago, B's and H's, eliminated. It wouldn't be in my community.
But we need the bees for the pollen and the honey.
He's that guy.
Yeah, I
Can
don't know
you-
what this
he's
guy's
that
talking
guy.
about. Like I don't know
Bees
what
and
this guy's talking
bees
about.
and honey.
But that's really it. And then lastly,
Real talk.
in my community there would be faith. Without faith, there's nothing. And so I gotta have the Lord, a part of my community, and for protection, for guidance, for comfort, for strength, and someone to forgive me for my sins. So that's my community.
You mentioned something that brought back a conversation that Miguel had with me years ago, and it was about that children need an advocate, that someone that they can go to. And growing up, I never had an advocate. I never had someone that I could go to when things were getting tough at home, when my mother and I were really not vibing. And the fact that I took that to heart when we had that conversation. And I look at Kendall. Kendall has a great advocate, that she can talk to, that she can have those conversations when her mother and I are not really vibing for her. And I see how it allows her to have a greater sense of mental and emotional health, is that she has someone that she can go to that advocates, not always directly on her behalf, but is that advocate person for her. And I thank you for that, because you introduced me to a concept that I didn't even know about, or definitely didn't have the experience growing up as a child, and not know that I ever created an atmosphere for my sons when they were growing up to have somebody who was an advocate for them that just wasn't even aware. But as we talk about mental health and the health of our people and children, in our families, that one little piece right there was just significant for me.
All right. Absolutely. Damon, what about your community? Did you already answer this?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Damn it. Wow, those were such great answers. There's not a little bit of what you said, and a little bit of what you
I saw that
said,
movie
and
too.
A little bit of what you said.
I saw that movie too. That don't work here.
What movie? We
The
talking about?
Italian Job, when my man was like, I'll take one of yours, one of yours, one of yours, one of yours.
I structurally I would need somebody else to kind of translate this, but because I know how I want people to feel. I want people to feel safe. I want people to feel loved. I want people to feel like I'm a firm believer that your rights end where my fist begins. So as long as it's between two consenting or however many consenting adults, and it's your business.
All right.
You know what I mean? But but also being able to come together and take care of each other as well. Are you okay?
Absolutely, my
right?
dude.
Are you
I'm
right?
good.
I've been trying to avoid this question this long. I start answering it, and you start breaking stuff.
I'm gonna bump my head and shit. That's why I wear hats. Let's go.
And you win you get to go last.
Well, I got finally.
You the wrap up.
I've dodged the question twice, so there you go. It's just a way for people to feel like they could contribute in the way that they contribute, and it be okay. That who you are is okay, and if you're different from me, cool.
All
Let's
right.
learn from each other.
All right.
Let's teach each other, and just being able to be a giving and generous society, like being able to give and take and not worry about anything else, and just being able to everybody help each other. And that's, to me, what community is. And
All right.
everybody looking at me, please. I'm not talking that long.
I
Hey,
can dig it.
I can work with it. We can rock with it.
Yeah. Miguel, what you
Oh,
thinking about?
Miguel went first.
I know, but he seemed like he got a thought running through her. What you thinking
I
about?
got no thoughts. I told y'all this is their show today. I'm here for the ride. I'm in the
okay.
the guest seat. Let
cat-
it rock out with your cock out. Let's go.
Wow.
The catbird seat, huh?
Yeah, man. You can call me Tweety. I thought I saw a pretty cat. You know what I mean?
cannot
Let's go.
deal with this guy. I cannot deal
man.
with this guy.
He is that guy.
I am here just to play a role today. Like my role is to be the jester,
So you Robert Ory.
the guy that cuss a lot.
You Robert Ory today.
I don't even know
What?
who Robert Ory is,
I was
but
trying to
all
figure
right.
that one out
I'm
myself.
trying to figure that out too.
You don't know who Robert
I
Ory?
know who Robert Ory is, but I'm trying to make the connection on why he would
Who's
be
Robert Ory?
He was on the Lakers teams when he would hit the big shots, but that's all he did.
That's
like
all he
wasn't
did.
he wasn't Kobe or Shaq. He was the role player.
Nah, homie.
That-
Jordan.
No, calm down. Listen,
Jordan, because
but
you,
you just
need to,
said I'm-
you need to understand that
but-
Jordan was a role player,
No, hold on. Listen,
and he could sit back and let the team do the damn thing when
But-
they needed to.
listen.
Don't ever.
You said
I ain't
today-
the second, man. I'm always first.
Listen. You said today. I'm just playing a role.
The greatest leaders know how to follow. Today, I'm just following. Understand me?
He thinking I know who you are. You know, first and foremost. But I'm talking about today off your words.
Nah. All right, then if you're gonna pick a player, then I'm not Robert Ory though, bro.
Robert Ory. You know how
Oh,
many?
it was cold,
You know how
man.
many championships he got?
I
He
don't
got
care. I don't
6.
care about championships.
If I'm not mistaken, he's had doesn't
You
he
know
have
what?
6?
He might
He's
have
got 5 or
7.
6. He's got.
What if I
He
want to
got
be
7?
John Paxson?
I was trying to give you a little more sauce than that,
But
but
I
okay.
like Paxson.
I'm not saying you don't, but he ain't
Yeah.
had no sauce. I was trying to give you somebody with some sauce. You know what Robert Ory's nickname was?
Robert Ory.
Big Shot Bob. You know why?
I definitely don't want no nickname named Bob.
Big Shot Bob. You know why?
You
Because
can't-
he hit
you
big
can't
shots.
because you can't smile and suck at the same time.
And on that
Yeah,
note,
we're
where's
gonna go
the,
ahead-
let's
we're
go ahead and
gonna-
round
let's
that
go ahead
up.
and wrap this
Yeah,
up.
my mama watching this. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
All right.
We're done.
All
It's
right. We don't have the old music. I done
Yeah.
messed all that up. It's been a quiet evening. So
Really, that's
yeah.
how we do it. We just gonna end the show. We ain't gonna tell the people goodbye. We're not gonna say thank you for tuning
Bye.
in. We're not gonna
Bye,
say
gone.
subscribe. We're not gonna
Oh, my
say,
goodness.
you know,
we want to thank
No,
you.
we're
for-
not going to say that.
No, yeah,
we're not going to
no,
say.
no.
We're not going to tell. We're not going to ask them to subscribe. We're not going to ask them to check out the Facebook. We're not going to ask them to check out the podcast, which you dropped the last episode, the networking one, which was amazing. I got to go back and take notes because it was great stuff.
YouTube.
We're not on, we're not going to tell them to
Spotify.
go to YouTube. We're not going to tell them to go to Spotify or anywhere you can get everywhere you can get a podcast from. We're not going to say any of that because that would be pandering, and our people are too smart for that.
Well, I guess, and there it is. Sir, any final notes?
I'm still gone off the last comment. I don't even know what just happened.
well,
All right, that's
I guess
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
And,
Then.
good night.
It's been an awesome time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for coming.
Wow, he's still that guy, man. We can't shake him from being that guy. Are we?
Yes.
Definitely.